Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you minor tweaks that I would like to see. As we draw near to a new balance day slate and to the end of the edition, there's only so many changes that could possibly happen. Now, when I get a little bit doomer about it, I do have to acknowledge that GW has still done some surprises lately. They reworked Tao's army rule. They've been going through a lot of the army rules that happened at the start of the edition and realized, yeah, this doesn't quite do that much. So they've been touching up on those. They reworked the psychophage. Don't think that one needed to happen per se, but they've been making adjustments. So while I would like to say, yeah, they won't change anything, there's a chance that they might surprise us. And with that, I'm here to once again put just a little thought out there as to what I would like to see for some small changes. Now, going to the fact that I just said they've been tweaking army rules that they realize don't do much. Some of them are pretty decent. I'm catching up. I'm playing catch up right now to some of them. Uh, right, but I haven't been a fan of ours for a lot of the edition. First off, Synapse. They were like, "Hey, last edition," and don't worry, we're going to talk about last edition a couple of times in this video. You made it so that you couldn't fail morale if you were in Synapse. What if you can fail morale, but it's just harder? It's like, sure, I guess. And then we were like, hey, this doesn't do anything, and we can't do anything in melee. They're like, what if we gave you +1 strength and synapse? And it's like, thank you, but still doesn't do much. Then Shadow in the Warp. I don't have as much of a gripe with Shadow in the Warp, especially when they were like, yeah, if they're around synapse, -1 from the test. Cool. That's better. Um, but again, we've been there, but it's fine, right? So Shadow in the Warp part is fine. So it's needless to say that I want something more for Synapse. I want something to change. And looking over to our other Battle Shock Army rule counterparts, I looked at Chaos Demons and was like, yeah, I guess it's too late in the game to give us if the opponent fails Battle Shock within Synapse. Uh, Within 6 inches of a Synapse creature, they take D3 wounds. You'd be like, but why would they do that if they did that for Chaos Demons? It'd be like, they did that for new Chaos Knights too. So it's like, man, we don't really do much for you failing Battle Shock. It's like, but the Neurolictor, and I'm like, but Chaos Knights have it as an army rule, and Chaos Demons, it goes both ways. If your opponent fails Battle Shock within the Shadow of Chaos, now I gotta admit, there's some more workaround on it. But if they fail within the Shadow of Chaos that you control at least half of the objective markers in one of the sectors of the board, they take D3. But if you pass Battle Shock or Leadership, whatever, well, Battle Shock specifically, I don't think Leadership, whatever. Yep, Battle Shock. If you pass Battle Shock, you get to heal D3 lost wounds, and if it's Battle Line, up to D3 models. So that's cool. That's fine, and it's not that ecstatic, that amazing. I'm not gonna act like, oh my gosh, I would kill for the Chaos Demons rule, but it has more play. They did find ways to make that happen more often, whether it be expanding on it in the detachments. That's kind of something that I wish happened, right? Invasion Fleet kind of does, but it's more like a prerequisite instead of building upon it. Invasion Fleet is like, hey, you could have a 6 of Feel No Pain, or check it out, if you are within Synapse, you get a 5 of Feel No Pain. Hey, over there, you could consolidate some more inches, or you can make a new normal move. So it's like a prerequisite. It doesn't necessarily just say, hey, straight up, this is what happens. Like, and it's hard to do that with ours because you look at something like Synaptic Nexus as well, where you can't do anything in that faction if you aren't within synapse in that faction, in that detachment, if you're not within synapse, right? Like everything is like you start with needing to be in synapse. If you're out of synapse, you're SOL. uh if you are an invasion fleet, yeah, that's fine. You still have something, but it does get better with synapse. But it doesn't necessarily say, hey, uh, if you are within Synapse and Invasion Fleet, +2 to strength, right? It doesn't go further on that. That's kind of what I mean. And it doesn't say, like, hey, if you are an Invasion Fleet and you're within Synapse, you take 4d6 or you can't fail. Like, there's nothing that builds upon Synapse in that way for our codex, which, it's whatever. And that's what I wish that we would have kind of done in the Chaos Demons realm, where, yeah, if you are within the Shadow of Chaos and Demonic Incursion, 6-inch deep strikes all over the place. And oh my gosh, have we heard that one before? And people are trying to say that is like insanely broken. Who could imagine? Oh my gosh. Yeah, but like 6-inch deep strikes and some other shenanigans in Demonic Incursion. And you look over to something like Plague Legion. Guess what? Shadow of Chaos. You failing Battle Shock means that models can just die like left and right. Well, mind you, thanks to an enhancement, but same to say. Blood Legion doesn't really do it, but nobody loves Blood Legion. Legion of Excess was kind of either way. I don't need to go through all of them. Scintillating Legion even has something. Legion of Excess has something. Like there's more play onto it, so I wish that's kind of where we had something with it. Coming over to Chaos Knights, comparatively, once again to like just Battle Shock to Battle Shock, they were like, hey, it turns out that just giving the Neuralictor rule of if something is Battle Shock, you're +1 wound against it, surprisingly, doesn't do that much, even though you have 15 Neuralictors on the board. That's surprising, right? -1 to hit, whatever. Turns out it just doesn't do enough. So that's why I also rally for the Neuralictor to be cheaper. I think that it's fine. If I have to spend points for it, and it just didn't even work that much for giant Chaos Knights, I think we're fine. Chaos Knights that can just go through walls, by the way. Like, not to say the Neuralictor can't, but a giant base going through walls and it still wasn't enough. I think we can take a look at the Harbingers of Dread book, where you flat out get, if you're within 9 inches of this model, leadership is worse by 1. Cool. 9 inches, better than Death Leaper, but admittedly, come on. I'm not gonna say like Death Leaper should be putting out max aura. No, actually I am. Death Leaper is an aura farmer, okay? But it's a giant death robot. I can understand the difference. But then you get to for the first, third, and fifth battle round, right? Yeah, first, third, and fifth battle rounds. You can either pick another dread ability or randomly select two. If you double, you're just SOL. SOL. But everyone taking first is going to be looking at making sure that each time an attack is made against this model, if the attacking unit is battle shocked or is more than 18 inches away, -1 from the hit roll. Uh, and yeah, all the other ones, like, it's lottie dottie days. I'm not going to spend too much time on there because this isn't a Chaos Knight video. But that's where I started thinking. I was like, damn, I do think it's too late in the game to just give all of our shit within Synapse. Feel no pain. Even though orcs have it on damn near every data sheet, even though other armies have just straight up invulnerable save. No, not to say that it's the exact same, right? But you look at it, and there's some unspoken army rules, like Custodes, Grey Knights, Sisters, all have an invulnerable save. Chaos Demons all have an invulnerable save. Like, they all have an invulnerable save, and going to this. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, yeah, all Tyranids should have an invulnerable save. Feel no pain would have been nice, but I did realize -1 to hit would be pretty cool. Uh, and I also thought about something that we used to have, right? Uh, if we can't make it so that we're more durable, there might be a chance that there's another way to go about it that does straight up help the entire faction. Because another thing with the army rule is that, sure, +1 strength to melee is cute, right? And they couldn't have at the time that they implemented this, I understand why they didn't say, hey, +1 strength to attacks, because that would have given us, if I remember correctly, this timing, SpaghettiOs, a strength 9 exocrine that we ended up getting anyway. Um, but if that change happened in the same one, then it would have given us strength 10, and you'd be like, what's the purpose of the Maliceptor then? So, either way, you had to make sure that you can't just outright crack the exocrine too much, right? Being our best offensive unit, and you can't make it so that you can't do that. Let's just that's all I got. But yeah, looking to ninth edition for some answers. Going back, we like I said, we had the morale test where it's like, yeah, automatically pass it. That was what synapse was, and shadow in the warp. Subtract one from psychic test made for enemy units within 18 inches of whatever, and Perils of the Warp, additional mortal wound, whatever. Fuck all that, right? But the synaptic link range is where, hey, if you have certain synapse creatures, get some imperatives going, some synaptic imperative abilities. Each synapse unit has their own synaptic imperative. These are abilities that affect friendly units within a set range in much the same way as aura abilities do. And you'll find that a lot of these went to different things, but there is one that I've just hinted at that I am more in favor of. Just going to go through some real quick, just so everybody kind of knows what they looked like. Relentless Ferocity, you were able to fall back and charge. They kind of gave that to Vanguard Onslaught. Well, they did give that to Vanguard Onslaught, but it's whatever. They also did fallback shooting charge for one stratagem in Synaptic Nexus. Uh, Cover differences, we don't really have cover differences. You either have it or you don't, and in 10th edition, you have it. Guide Mine and what's the other one? Oh, Tyranid Warriors, Tyranid Prime, both gave you sustained. But we come to Turvy, and this is where I think we might have a shot of a minor change that might completely make us feel better. Turvy had Surging Vitality, which we do have. Is it the name? Is it Unending Swarm? Or is it on somebody? Or is it an Invasion Fleet? Either way, Surging Vitality, the name's been used, but the ability not quite so much. While this Synaptic Imperative ability is active for your army and a friendly Hive Tendril unit is within 6 inches of the Synapse model, each time that unit is selected to make a normal move or advance until the end of the phase, add 2 inches to the move characteristic of models in that unit. So I propose that Tyranids within Synapse range get +2 movement. I think that they just get +2 movement, and that might uplift the entire faction. I've made a lot of gripe videos, maybe not too much, about certain things that should be faster that just aren't, and they have problems getting there. So, of course, most of that has been, well, help us survive to get there. But what if we were just faster? What if we were just faster? And you'd say that would break some units, and I disagree. Purely because some of the units that I would imagine we think would break, such as our hyper adaptive Raveners, bringing them up to movement 12, does it make much of a difference? No, not really. I think at certain points, once you hit like 10 inches, it doesn't make much of a difference for them. Broodlord Gene Stealers, and I say break because I'm thinking Vanguard Onslaught Advance and Charge for those Vanguard Invader units. 2 inches of movement, yeah, I do think it makes a difference. I'm not going to sit here and say that it doesn't. But I don't think it makes such a significant difference that you then complain about the power of it, because that's not the detachment's main thing, right? It is already its main thing, but it's not going to be too absurd because you do want your hyper adapted Raveners to move, but you do want them to possibly go up into and down to another situation. The Brewlord Gene Stealers, if they make it, they make it. If they don't, they don't. Making it so that they fail, that they pass a few more charges, you're still going to get the same damage output. Now you're just reliably getting there. Tyranid Warriors, I've been, very vocal about how I don't like that Tyranid Warriors in Vanguard Onslaught just still don't get there, and their damage output isn't there. But if you can make it so that Tyranid Warriors can get there, I'd forgive the fact that they have a 4-up save this edition. Well, they had it last edition, but a 4-up save. Did they have a last edition? Damn, I'm forgetting. Anyway, that they have a 4-up save, and they get, shut off the table. Anyway. So, I think if you just give Synapse +2 to move, a lot of things get better. It also affects our ranges a bit better. Such as Zoe's having 24-inch range. I've never been a fan of that, and they're slow as shit. So, if they can just be a little bit faster, and you can add the assault from a Hive Tyrant on top of that, which you already were doing, right? But then it affects our ranges a little bit better. Exocrine already has decent range, but it does have heavy, and some of our things with heavy would like to be in better spots quicker. So, I think just straight up giving us in Synapse +2 to movement, simple change. I think the faction sees a bit more life. And this dumbass melee attack thing might actually do something for a little bit more things. Specifically, probably just the melee warriors, if I'm being honest. But, actually, you know what? Maybe a Screamer Killer, maybe a Toxic Green? Maybe? Yeah, who am I kidding? But, onto some of those things, like Warriors, Sleepers I still love, I think they're fine. But, like, Tyrant Guard, all of this shit, becoming faster, I think would be such a significant boost for late 10th edition that isn't too much while still being in the realm of manageable, right? Because we previously had access to, hey, take your pick of doing all this shit as long as you're within 6 inches of these things. Go for it, have fun. But I think that upon more reflection, it might be our movement that's holding us back more than, maybe not more than other things, but if you can move to another terrain feature better, you'll be fine. It'd be better, right? It'll be better. If you can position yourself to utilize cover and things like that a little bit more, or terrain specifically, like just block line of sight better, it'll be fine. And we will come back to Turvy starting now. Turvy, specifically, I think could be better. I think we can agree on that. And I didn't put Turvy in the points drop thing because I don't think that that's enough. I didn't think it was enough. There's some that you'll hear again, spoiler, that I think that it's like either or. But I think Turvy needs help both ways, so I kind of wanted to save here. And you say, well, you said this would be minor tweaks. Yeah, I think that Turvy should get something, again, that we had previously. Kind of with this whole, look out, sir, that's what it was. Sorry, Wall of Flesh. You could just, like, not be targeted around Termagants and shit, right? Everybody's been asking for it for a while. Make it so that Turvy has lone up when within 6 inches of Termagants. Like, I think that'd be fine. Also, Brood, well, Spawn Termagants. It's not Brood, my bad. Spawn Termagants also had this other caveat. Once per battle, this model can spawn a new unit of Termagants. I remember seeing this, or being asked about it, a couple of months ago. Or did I see it somewhere? I can't remember. Either way, somebody was confused, like, hey, so where do I set them up? I'm not seeing that, and probably we're still looking at 9th edition rules. But yeah, if you make it so that spawn Termagants, yeah, in your command phase, D3+3 versus 2D6, I would like it to be D6+6, right? Like, come on now, for me to bring Turvy. But at the same time, if I could just bring one unit, or spawn one unit, I think we'll be okay. And you're like, now hold on, what, spawning a unit? What are we doing here? And then I direct you to Corn Demonkin when they can, bring in a squad of bloodletters because something fucking died. Now, mind you, it had to be in reserves, I think, or something like that, right? Or Shamble Rot Victorium. I think I finally remembered which Death Guard detachment it is, where you could just bring Poxwalkers out the ass. Like, if you're not going to do it for an Unending Swarm, at least put it for Turvy. That once per battle, I can make 10 more fucking Termagants and just make my money back a little bit. Like, that's the other thing with Turvy. A points cut doesn't cut it enough because, yeah, if Turvy goes down 150, right, I save 25 points. That's not an additional Termagant squad. I still have to worry about how many Termagants I'm bringing, so that's a premium that Turvy is paying already. And it usually starts at 120. So the cost of Turvy is already about 295. So dropping 25 points, it's whatever. But if I can at least spawn one unit, there we go. Right? Like just give me that. Just give me that. And loan up. Admittedly, I don't think too many people target Turvy enough. When the swarm of Termagants, and then usually you can just tuck Turvy somewhere and say call it a day. But it's whatever. I think that Turvy getting loan up around Termagants would just be a nice change on top of it. And now, Monster, I hear you say, you said minor tweaks. Yeah, I think you add one line that says, when Turvy is within 6 inches of Termagant, you get loan up, and you copy and paste damn near word for word here, like even stopping before like all the flesh borer shit or whatever, or weapon selection shit, and you just put it right there under spawn Termagants. I think it'll be fine. But that's enough about Turvy for now. What about Venomthropes? I don't think that Venomthropes are terrible. I think that they're useful enough. But in the line of thinking about how we should probably be more survivable than we are, I realized that we are missing out on a lot of -1 to hit that we used to have. It used to be on the Harridan, Harpy, Hive Crone, Serpentine Coil, so Trigon, Moloch, Raveners. Uh, we used to have a bit more, hey, good luck hitting me. And even with the old Venomthropes, but up, da, it just said, well, a friendly Hive Fleet unit that isn't Titanic is within 6 inches of this unit. -1 to hit. Cool. I.e. stealth. I think if we just change that back for Venomthrope so that, yeah, excluding Titanic, you get stealth, in the addition where we already have cover out the ass, Venomthropes might really be pretty massive. I think we can do that. I think we can do that. And I think 70 points for making, like, look, we already have teleporting monsters, and it turns out that's still not, like, enough because the game has evolved past us. I think that you can have harder to hit monster. Like, yeah, a Norn Emissary -1 to hit will probably be frustrating. I'll give you that. Uh, but we've seen some absurd shit this edition be -1 to hit. Hell, looking at Wrath of the Lion, that I see a 50-50 split. I take that back. I see that most non-pros really like Wrath of the Rock, from what I've seen so far for Dark Angels. And I see that some pros aren't getting there with it. And I think that's kind of funny. It's one of those things like, I don't know, I think like the general community is really trying to tell you to give it another shot. Sorry if you can hear the uh, background like that. But say that to say that we've seen some absurd things have -1 to hit and -1 to wound and a feel no pain. So I think giving a Norn Emissary -1 to hit and an Invuln and a feel no pain, it being the worst case in our entire codex, our most survivable thing in our entire codex, I think we will live. So yeah, I think you just change it to excluding Titanic to get stealth. I'll pay 70 points for that. I'll pay 70 points for that, especially especially when I can no longer give anything a feel no pain because you changed my fucking psychophage. Uh, outside of Invasion Fleet, of course. Now, the other thing that Venomthropes no longer have is a Malanthrope, a leader. And it was this one interesting thing about prey adaptation, excuse me, that if an enemy model is destroyed within 3 inches of this model, the Malanthrope, then at the end of the phase, this model gains the following ability until the end of the battle, prey adaptation. While a friendly High Fleet unit is within 6 inches of this model, my bad, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. This is possibly number 2 of thing that I would like for our army rule to see. I don't care if there's an additional hoop on top of synapse, like, hey, if a unit dies within 6 inches of a synapse unit, then it has reroll wound rolls of 1 against it, something like that. I don't care if there's another hurdle in that, but more reroll wound rolls of 1 would be nice. Personally, between the two, I think the movement solves more. I think if we could just say, hey, +2 to movement, I think that's the least scary one that people won't freak out, be like, whoa, you just gave Tyranids reroll wound rolls of 1 for what? Like, I think that would cause less of an uproar. But, it is something that we don't have in places where we would want it. And that's kind of where it falls on that one. So I'm not too fussed if you don't just throw in reroll wound rolls of 1, but it is another option of something that you throw into synapse somehow, some way. Like if a creature's within synapse, it has reroll wound rolls of 1. That would be cool. That'd be neat. But hey, I could understand if you're just like, if GW looks at this as like, yeah, how about we give them +2 movement instead, and that'd be cool. Especially looking at the interplay to some of the detachments. Like I've bitched enough about Synaptic Nexus having one that's like, hey, here's +1 to advance and charge, but you don't get to advance and charge. Giving that +2 to move that I've asked that to be for Time Eternal, I think it'll be fine. I think that you finally have a reason for me to start looking realistically. Like, I'll be honest, I made too many comfort lists that just go to Synaptic Nexus because I don't want to be an Invasion Fleet, if I'm being honest. But I think that you could just go to that angle for something like that, and then that looks a little bit better. Vanguard Onslaught looks better. Assimilation Swarm? Does Assimilation Swarm look better? Yeah, I guess giving your harvesters better movement would look better. Bonus movement on monsters going through walls and Crusher Stampede. Warrior Platform Onslaught. Warriors being faster. Yeah, I think across the board, I think that's where it is. I think across the board, all of our data sheets are just a little too slow for the things being asked of them. Unending Swarm being faster, and then getting a surge would be proper annoying. I know there's other things that people are upset about there, but I do think that giving them +2, yeah, I think you might actually just rejuice a lot of the codex with it. Now, how much power would that put us up? I genuinely don't think that with the things coming out now at this stage of the edition, anything would break past what other shit has. I think it'd just feel better for our faction. Now, all that coming to other data sheets that I think just small tweaks. Barbgons. I think if you just give them an additional pip of AP for their points, or, like I previously said, reduce their points, we have Barbgons. I want to put Barbgons on the table. And to that point, I guess the Barb Launcher specifically, because that means that the Barb Launcher for the Tervigons could also have, like, 1 AP. Fine. Like, I think it's weird that this gun that's better than our, like, supposed to be better than the other little infantry guns just has no AP. I think it's weird. And I think it would be better. And also, just saying, if you implement both the movement and the barb guns, then we get back to having a little bit more thought process behind our gameplay. Hey, you're going to be slower. I'm going to be faster. And that's how we're going to play the game. Instead of, I put something here that has infiltrate, and I tried to not die enough for my points to stay across the board, even though there's challenger cards. But So, something like that. And giving Barbons 8 inches of movement to put them in a position where they can utilize their heavy. I know that's copium. I know that's copium. I know that's copium. But I'm still going to try to spiel it. Giving them 8 inches of movement. Hey, are you going to overwatch the Barbons for shits and giggles? Fine, I guess. Then you have to worry about my other shit. Like 8 inches of movement. Again, talking to this synapse change that I would like. Tyranid warriors of both melee and range variety. I've said it time and time again. Please just make their save a 3-up. And make it so that the ranged warriors hit on 3s. We're too late for this. It's too late for this. If you're not going to make them cheaper, which, fine, fuck it, I guess. Giving them more movement, because synapse, hey, hold on, hey, I'm just going to keep spilling it. This synapse change that I would like, give them a 3-up save. Give them a 3-up save. Make it so that the ranged warriors hit on 3s. It's been too long that we just haven't done this, and I really don't understand the reason why. And finally, rounding it out, something that I also would like to hit on 3s, Carnifexes. They need to be cheaper. They need to hit on 3s. It's kind of weird that they don't have access to, oh shit, I'm blanking. Enhanced senses? Was it enhanced senses they give +1 to hit? Let's go with that. Either way, you previously were able to have +1 to hit. We don't really have +1 to hit for range now that I think about it. Yeah, we don't have that because I guess we have the reroll, so mathematically, whatever. But I don't want to always need to take Old One Eye just to make the Carnifexes look semi-appealing. Make it so that they hit on 3s. Then I might not bring Old One Eye for a squad. Come on now. Now, also, their points still need to come down, but make it so that they hit on fucking 3s. And give them a feel no pain. It's kind of weird that our Carnifex doesn't have a feel no pain. Just saying. Now, admittedly, did they have it last edition? I don't think so, right? The Carnifexes. Did they have a way to get it? Why do I feel like they did? They had armored exoskeleton each time an attack is allocated to model, so -1 to. This is what I mean. We had more survivability. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't a feel no pain, but they were more durable. Somehow, some way. Had armored exoskeleton. Like, just straight up -1 damage. Or, fuck it, please. I'd love for things in Synapse to take -1 damage. But, give the Carnifexes a feel no pain. They shouldn't be able to pop this bad. That Old One Eye has a feel no pain. Match Old One Eye's feel no pain. Like, come on, what are we doing here? So yeah, Carnies, make them hit on 3s. Make them cheaper. Make Warriors hit on 3s. Possibly make them cheaper. Make Melee Warriors hit on 3s. Give both of them a 3-up save. Barbons, give them a pip of AP. Venomthropes, let them do everything excluding Titanic. Please, I beg. And Army Rule, each time a model goes to make a move, +2 to move. However, GW needs to word it in their weird wording ways. I think all of these changes at this point in the edition wouldn't break anything, and I think would be fine, and might even give us new life across damn near everything, to be honest. Yeah, so that's what I would like to see. And GW, if you're listening, I'm not saying that you need to bring me on or anything like that. I just prefer these changes to be in. If you slide me $10, go and say, hey, buy yourself a paint. That'd be fine too. But yeah, just meshing. I think that's what I would like to see at this point for now. So hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment from me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.